Welcome to Greenville Media, broadcast live from Tommy's Plumbing Studio. Give Tommy a call for all your plumbing needs, 423-620-7522. Tonight we have Conspiracy Conceder with the breathing Jason Monteleone.
Breathing? Well, I'm glad I'm breathing. That means I'm still alive.
And if anybody would like to call in tonight and discuss conspiracies, the phone number is 423 area code 972-4444.
Oh yeah, I'm all about that. I want to hear what some people have to say tonight. Really get a good view of, some outside influence here. Because you're kind of wacky on me sometimes. You like to talk about a lot of crazy stuff.
Well, let's talk about the conspiracy of the weather.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing today, isn't it? I tell you, me and my wife, who I have to say happy birthday tonight. Today is her birthday, and I told her the first thing I would do online is tell her how much I love her and thank her for being
60.
born. She's not born.
60.
60.
50.
50.
40.
Okay.
30.
Anyways.
20.
So anyways, the weather, I'm telling you, so last night we go to Walmart, and she's freaking out. She texts me, I'm at school. She's like, we really need to go to Walmart and get some stuff for this big snowstorm, because she's, afraid that apparently we're going to be locked in the house for the next week or something like that. So anyways, we go to the store, and we drive through Food City, and it's just packed. I mean, the cars, I've never seen a parking lot packed like that. You think Armageddon was coming. In the end of the world.
What are they calling it? The ice apocalypse?
Yeah, ice apocalypse or ice-ageddon or something like that. So, I think it probably has something to do with the way media hypes it up, which is, there again, like we spoke about last week, I really don't know if that's a good thing, I mean, honestly, I want people to know that the weather is bad outside, but at the same point in time, I mean, is it right to scare them to death?
Well, we got to go buy our milk, bread, and eggs so we can drink our milk and eat our egg sandwiches.
If that what they do with it, I'm still on the out on that one. I still think that milk, bread, and eggs doesn't get you very far in the long run. I would love to know what people eat on an everyday basis when they go buy milk, bread, and eggs, since those are the.
I'm telling you, they drink milk and then fry some eggs, put it on some sandwiches, and then bust the yolks and have that yellow going all over their hands while they're sitting there eating some egg sandwiches.
That sounds excitingly good. But what happens if you don't have power, which is normally the thing about going out and buying groceries, is because there may be a chance that you actually lose power.
Yeah, so, you could take some Sterno.
What is Sterno? I'm lost. What's Sterno?
That fuel in a can.
Oh yeah.
And put your frying pan over it.
Oh, I see. Just so you light it up and just cook it. See, when I was a kid, we used to cook stuff on the fireplace downstairs. Yeah. We had a wood stove. It took about 2 or 3 hours to cook a can of Campbell's soup, but, so you started early. But once you got done, you had a little bit of hot soup for at least 5 minutes. But, yeah, so we go to the store, and we drive through Food City, and it's absolutely packed. And I'm like, are we going to buy food, are we going to buy food, or are we just going to buy some snacks, just in case something happens? She's like, well, I really don't know, so we decided to go to Walmart. I made the decision because, I like to, I try to save a little money, and it seems like, Walmart's a little bit cheaper than some other places. So we go over to Walmart, and it's no different. I mean, this place is packed. It's like Black Friday. It's ridiculous, and I'm thinking, why are all these people in here freaking out about?
Because a snowflake is coming.
Well, I know, but it's not even, okay, I'll tell a little story. I moved to Ohio for a little while, and I remember the first day I went to work in a snowstorm. When I got hired in, I asked them, I said, okay, so what happens? It snows up here. So what happens if it snows? Do I have to come to work? Do I have to call in? How much notice do I have to give? And they're like, okay, well, we have three levels of snow up here. And there's 1, 2, and 3. And anyways, if it's level 1, you have to come to work no matter what. There's no calling out. You don't get any, off day, that's given to you. And I said, well, they said that normally goes up to about 6 or 8 inches of snow. So with the first 6 or 8 inches of snow, you've got to come to work regardless. So I remember the first day I went to work, I left at 4 o'clock in the morning. I had to be there at 6. And I got a little 2-wheel drive truck. It's a Frontier, and I'm driving to work about 35 miles away. And the snow, it's like 4 or 5 inches by the time I leave the house to go out on the road. And I'm doing 35 miles an hour down these back roads. They've not been plowed yet because the department, the highway department hadn't even woken up yet. And so I'm driving, and there's trucks passing me. I mean, these big Dodge trucks, they're passing me, doing like 65 miles an hour, 5 or 6 inches of snow on the ground, and I'm like, I'm freaking out. And I'm like, oh my God, I've got to go to work in this? This is just the first day that there's snow. So I was a little bit nervous about that, but, around here, and people freak out when they see one flake. And I wonder if it's the media's part.
So I'm still stuck on the story. What was stage 2 and what was stage 3?
Well, stage 2 was when it got over. Well, I think it was over a foot. I think that was stage 2, and that was you were only allowed to be on the highway if it was emergency purposes. And then there was stage 3, and stage 3 was if you were not in like the police or the fire department or something or doing something, then you would get a ticket if you were on the road. That's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And that was like blizzard conditions and stuff like that. So I mean, it's pretty different.
So did you go to work at stage 2?
We never had a stage 2 while I was there actually. So I didn't actually get to think, but I'm sure I think you're allowed to call in at that point in time and decide whether you can make it or not on your own. But if it was stage 1, there was no calling in and saying it snowed, I can't make it. They'd still give you they wouldn't count it as an off day. You still had to. That was an unexcused absence. So you've got me all messed up here, but I mean, when it goes on the media there, I mean, they make things a lot worse than they are if they don't have to. So I mean,
well, I will have to admit that the ice was thick.
Yeah.
My porches were covered in ice, and it just seems like that the road, even my road was icy. But I do believe that, people do need to prepare.
Well, yeah, but what's the level of preparation? I mean, do they need to go out and buy $200 worth of groceries to last one day? Or, I mean, do they need to make it as bad as it could possibly be? I mean, when you say ice again, what are you thinking? I mean, are you thinking a 1/4 inch of ice, or it's just going to cover the car? Or are you thinking, man, this is going to be bad. I may not be able to get out of the house for a day or two. I mean, where do you stop with that kind of thinking?
Well, with the ice, that's something different. So, but with the snow, I mean, I've drove in blizzards. It don't really bother me.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me either. But
if people will stay off their brakes, they ain't going to have a problem.
Yeah, they do seem to ride their brakes a lot.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's just I wonder if that's because we have a lot of curvy roads down here.
If you just go with it, more than likely you're going to live through it. If you compared to slamming on your brakes.
Yeah, I remember the first time I drove. My grandfather said, I said, "How do you learn to drive in the snow?" I said, "What do you got to do?" He says, "Well, you go out and you find a parking lot in the middle of nowhere," and he said, "and you break it loose and you just see how the car's going to handle, and you learn to slide and adjust and figure out what you're doing." I mean, I don't know if you're allowed to do that now, but I can remember a few times going to Hal Hennard out there in the parking lot and doing some donuts just to figure out how to drive in the snow, see what it's going to take for the car to break loose and all that. So I mean, you'll learn to do that.
Well, speaking of the ice, do you think we are in a mini ice age, like some people are saying?
Speaking of an ice age, a mini ice age. Well, every so many years the Earth goes through stages. I mean, and it's a natural thing. A mini ice age. I don't know exactly how you're going to have a mini ice age when the polar ice cap up north is. I think they said this year it almost completely melted during the summer season. So you could actually, it was the first time that ships could actually go cross without having to, run into things. And next year is going to be definitely worse. If you look at Glacier National Park, there's hardly any glaciers left in Glacier National Park anymore. So I have a hard time considering that it's a mini ice age. But the fact that we're due for one, yeah. I don't know exactly what it's going to take to be in one of those, but, I mean, I don't think it's going on right this minute. So, okay, you give me the evil eye. You must think different.
Well, I mean, I hate to, the government itself would you rather tell the people that they're going to burn alive, or would you rather tell them they're going to freeze to death?
That's a good question. I think that it would probably be more appropriate to tell people that they're going to freeze to death. Simply,
I mean, do you remember that Twilight show? Watching Twilight, but there was a specific one where that woman, they're going toward the sun and they're burning up and stuff's melting and people are dying. Well, it comes to find out at the end of the show, she's been asleep because she's has running a fever. She was running a fever in her sleep.
So she was hallucinating.
Yeah, and actually when the Earth was going the other way, so they were all freezing.
Oh. Well, I guess that can make a little bit of sense, considering when you get frostbite or when you get really, really cold, your hands start to feel hot, and you've got to go through that stage of de-thawment is what I do. I notice I'll rub my hands under hot water, and they start out and they're really hot, and then they get cold, and then they get back to normal. So, I mean, I guess that can make some sense. If she was, she was getting colder, and she was thinking that she was hot or going into the sun.
I mean, I would think that the government would actually tell people that the Earth is warming instead of cooling.
Well, I think the whole thing is that people are afraid of change, regardless of what it is. I mean, just simple changes. So for the government to admit that there's something, environmentally changing, the world, global changing going on, I think it would scare a lot of people, considering, they just don't want any kind of change regardless. So. But all you have to do is look out your window or look at things, look at the storms that have been going on. I mean, Hurricane Sandy, that was late in the season, and that was pretty powerful, devastating. And just look at stuff that's happened around the world in the last few years and realize the thing is changing. I mean, the world doesn't stay the same. Everything changed over a period of time. So, my look at it is, it's a natural occurrence. Sure, there's a lot of things that man does to manipulate the environment. We burn fossil fuels and we release greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, and that is going to change the thing. But this is something that's natural. You can see warming periods and warming trends in the history of glaciers and other things that have been around for a long period of time. You take core samples of the ice, and you can see that over a period of time there are changes, especially in trees and weather patterns. You can tell what the growth cycle is in a tree in a crosscut of a tree to see how long the growth cycle actually lasted that season, and that's how they count years of a tree, and they see growing cycles and stuff like that. So, but I guess the whole thing is that people just don't want to hear. They don't want to hear anything's changing. I don't think they want to hear anything's changing at all, regardless of what it is. Even when you tell them that they might actually have to pay another $1 or $2 for tax or something like that, people freak out as well. It's, who's going to really notice another $1 or $2? But it seems like it's a big deal. So any kind of changes really, really, really jumps out at people. So if you're the government, I think you want to just make people feel that everything's going to be okay. If there's something major, we're going to take care of it.
Now, if the world was ending tonight, do you think the government would tell everybody?
No, not at all. I do not think that they would tell anybody at all.
Okay, well, let's do a little experiment.
Okay, we do.
They know an asteroid the size of Texas is heading this way.
Yeah,
It will hit a year from now. Do you think they'll tell everybody?
No.
6 months from now?
No. I think the only time that they would actually tell somebody is once it gets in within a certain distance, people can actually see it for their own. Now, it's going to take a lot of calculus and geometry and all that to figure out.
Or unless they knew the
trajectory.
Can destroy it.
Yeah, well, the trajectory of it. That's the main thing. But you create a mass worldwide panic if they ever decide to do that. People would go, what would you do? That's the age-old question. What would you do if you knew you only had 6 months to live? Would you change your current lifestyle? Would you...
Well, not now. I wouldn't.
You wouldn't. You'd still go out and you'd still go buy things at Walmart that you'd still go buy a new comforter. It's like, what's the matter? You got 6 months to live.
Well, speaking job wise, I wouldn't change what I'm doing now. But if I still worked at the sheriff's department, I would have probably quit.
You'd probably quit. Well, I think that's a lot of things. So if you worked at the sheriff's department and you probably quit, how many of those people that worked there would you imagine would quit too?
Probably 3/4 of them.
3/4 something. So we could assume that that there probably wouldn't be enough people there to take care of the prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you going to do? You're going to let them out because you can't monitor them anymore? I mean, they only got 6 months to live anyway.
Well, certain ones they would automatically kill.
You think?
No, I know.
Oh, they would.
Federal guidelines.
Oh, really? I'm not familiar with that. So how does that work?
Now, I'm not saying I know this from working there. I know this from all the conspiracy stuff.
So this is just kind of hearsay talk.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the thing?
But the federal guidelines is if something does happen, that certain inmates will automatically be shot and killed.
Okay. That sounds reasonable. But, I mean, I wonder if it makes a difference.
Like if people over 5 years sentence who have a violent crime will automatically be killed.
That's kind of what you hear.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And anybody under that sentence will be let free. Who does not have a violent crime.
Oh, I see. So violent crime is pretty much the main deterrent here. Okay. Well, I still think if the government knew that the world was going to end in 6 months, I don't think they would say anything until somebody else noticed it too, with like say another telescope, or say that's what it took. You know what I mean? But I think if I was gonna, I think I would live a more happy, productive life and a more stable utopian type life if I didn't know what was going to happen. Because people change their behavior when they know that their outcome is different. I mean, that's just basic people values. It's the same thing insurance companies have to deal with. I mean, when people have insurance, they're more likely to be reckless than they are when they don't have insurance, because people change their behavior, and the insurance companies have to they have to reflect that in their rates.
Well, I don't see that. I think I'm more stable without insurance than I am with.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Well, no. I mean,
you'd be more reckless if you did have insurance because you knew that you had it's a safety net.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, I mean, it's on a majority. People, it seems to be noticed scientifically that people are more reckless when they feel like they have a safety net. They're more willing to go out and do things that aren't healthy or aren't productive if they feel like the consequences aren't there. I mean, it's the same deterrent for criminals. If I know that I can go out and do 150 miles an hour and and if I don't screw up and kill myself on my own, that the only thing I'm going to do is get a $55 ticket. Well, I weigh that benefit against the cost of doing 155 miles an hour on the road. Is that worth $55? And there are a lot of people out there that say, yeah, that's not a big deal. But if it's $555 and that's like, more than a week's pay, or, it's going to take food off my family's table or something like that, then I would probably make a different decision of whether I'm going to go out and drive 155 miles an hour or not.
Well, I want to welcome our new sponsor to Greenville Media, Travis Gregg Construction, who specializes in log home building. If you're looking to build a log home, give Travis Gregg Construction a call, 423-620-2634. You can check out their Facebook page by going to Greenville Media's Facebook page. I put a link up there, and give him a call. He's a new part of the family of advertisers, and call Travis and tell him you heard him on Greenville Media.
This is a good example here that I've run into. With people that are driving around right now, you know what I mean? Because, the media stations have been saying, it's bad outside. I mean, there's been accidents. I mean, I know there was a death of a highway patrolman today in Knoxville. It may not have been from the ice or not, but he did wreck, and it may have been from, some kind of physical circumstances. But the idea is that who do you think is more likely to go out and drive in the snow? Somebody who has insurance on their car, so if they wreck it or something, they more than likely can get it fixed with insurance, or somebody who doesn't have insurance on their car, and that's their only mode of transportation. Do you think they're going to risk?
I don't think it would matter.
You really don't think it would matter?
I mean, if somebody needs to get out in the snow, they're going to get out in the snow.
No matter what?
No matter what.
You don't think anybody takes a risk factor in there to it?
No. I mean, I have insurance on my vehicles, and thank God I have full coverage insurance on my vehicles. Mm-hmm. A few months ago, we won't go into that conversation, but
so is there anything that you won't do because you think it's too risky? I mean, will you skydive?
No. Well, I mean, I don't have no inkling to skydive, but
why? There's a reason why.
Well, I'm not particularly happy about heights.
Oh, okay. So it would be it's.
But I'm not saying I wouldn't do it.
Okay. So
I mean, if you paid for me to go skydiving tomorrow, I'd go skydiving.
Really? So there's wow. Well, I'm going to say that a lot of people have a risk preference. You may not fit into that category, but a lot of people, they weigh things when they do it to figure out whether it's worth doing it or not. I mean, it's
why?
Well, because there's a thing called and it's called consumer. Oh, let me get the word here so I don't screw it up. God, I've done lost it, but it's like consumer equity or benefit. When you look at something, it's like when you go to the store and say Coca-Cola. Say we're gonna go buy Coca-Cola, okay? And
okay, here we go. Now, 9 times out of 10, if my wife goes to the store, she'll buy Pepsi over Coke.
Okay, all right.
More than likely, you know why?
Yeah, because she gets a better benefit out of Pepsi.
No, one, she likes Pepsi.
That's okay. It's a benefit.
And 2, 9 times out of 10, Pepsi's cheaper than Coke.
That's right. I mean, well, there's a reason for that, though. But I mean, you buy things like, okay, if I go to buy a car, everybody's bought a used car in their life, at some point in time. If I go to a used car lot and buy a car, and the car is $2,500, and I look around it and I say, I don't think that car's worth $2,500. I mean, I'm not going to buy that car. If I don't think it's worth what it is, then I'm not going to buy it. Now if I value that car at $3,000 or $4,000 and it's only $2,500.
That's different. That's something you're going to use. That's different than skydiving.
Well, no, but it's still the same value system. You assign values. You assign values to everything that you do. I mean, no matter what it is. So when you make the decision whether it's worth it or not, whether it's worth doing, I mean, like, obviously tonight I took a risk to come here. I mean, it really wasn't that bad of a risk. The roads were absolutely fine that I drove on. Of course, I drove on the interstate, but, I guess I came at the right time. But,
Yeah, when we leave, it may be different.
Yeah, when we leave, it may be a little bit different. But I did check the weather, and the weather did say that it was going to be 33 when I got here and 33 when I left. So I took a chance. I weighed the risks about getting.
Wow, you actually plan your life. I mean,
oh my Lord, you're not a planner?
No, I don't plan.
That's bull.
That's like every show we do. It's not planned.
Oh, so you just all of a sudden show up at the radio station, the booth here, and all of a sudden you just start.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, how do people know when to listen?
Well, I mean, they know the show's on at 8 o'clock.
Oh, so you planned it that way.
Well, no, it's just the way it works out.
Oh, it's just the way. So your everyday life just kind of ends at 8 o'clock when you start the show.
Well, no, I mean, the show's planned for 8 o'clock for people to tune in, but when we get here, we didn't plan the show. We didn't decide what we was going to talk about.
No.
I mean, we're just...
Yeah, it's
shooting the breeze.
Well, yeah, I mean that keeps the topics fresh, I think, and it makes it more fluid. You know what I mean?
Because here I'm gonna get this paper out and say, let's talk about that would kind of suck.
Yeah, that doesn't exactly work too easily either. Actually, I do have a comment though. One of my friends that I spoke with the other day, she listened to the show and she told me that she really liked the aliens when we were talking about the aliens, and I was like, okay, so I know she did pay attention for quite a long period of time because that came in after the end. But I thought it was pretty neat that she said she liked that. And
well, my wife don't listen, so tell her to call me. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I don't know. But she was real interested when you called or when you started talking about the aliens. I think that's intriguing to a lot of people. It's funny. We talked last week about bacteria, and I said that you wanted to know that there was other life on other planets. So I was watching on the Discovery Channel today.
Bacteria is not life.
Well, see, I don't know. They were talking about that.
Do you consider an anthill with a bunch of ants life?
Yeah, I mean, that's life.
No.
Yeah, so.
Now, I mean, I'm not one of those people who will, step on a bug. I will walk around so I don't step on a bug.
But you're conservative, right?
But I don't.
Conservative Republican.
Yeah, but I don't.
The Republicans.
Yeah, let's not start this liberal Obama-loving shit.
Right to life party, life as
no, not right to life. I'm right to. It's the woman's business. It ain't none of my business.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're liberal. So you just let other people decide. That seems like a liberal point of view.
Well, I mean, I have some liberal views.
Oh.
Like if my wife and I decided on an abortion, it would be between my wife and I.
Yeah, well, I agree.
It wouldn't be between anybody else.
I don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah.
But do you... Okay, so this is a good question here. It's a political question. I mean, I love politics, and I know you do too, even though you want to ignore talking about them. Do you think that it's the government's responsibility to tell us what we should do with our everyday lives
It's the government's responsibility to get down on their knees and thank me for allowing them to exist.
Well, okay, I can...
And not me. I'm talking to the American public.
Yeah, well, they serve us.
Yeah,
we're their master, right?
It's supposed to be that way, but it's no longer that way.
Listen, you've had some representatives come in here. I didn't talk on... I mean, I know you interviewed them when the last political cycle came through.
Yeah.
So what was your take on the way they approached it? I mean, did they seem like genuinely good people?
Well, I mean, there's a few I liked and a few I didn't like, and...
Oh, so okay, all right. I mean, did you think that... did you think anybody was over the top and looked down at you yet or anything? I mean...
No, but...
Okay.
No.
But you would feel that since you did speak with a few of them, do you think the majority of people
but you got to look at it. Local politics is different than regional politics and national politics.
Yeah, on some senses.
I could get a county commissioner in here and talk to him or her.
Uh-huh.
But I guarantee you it would be a lot harder to get the governor on the phone.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Bill Haslam's a pretty nice guy there. He might...
Oh, I like him. But I'm just, I guarantee you I couldn't get Obama on the phone.
Well, yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, he's a pretty busy man. He's got a whole country to run. I don't know if he's exactly so excited about, Greenville Media wants to interview me and talk about Benghazi or something like that. He kind of has to know what's going on. But you never can tell. I mean, one of the college I went to in Cleveland, Tennessee, Cleveland State, he actually mentioned our college is part of a new age math program that we run down there, and he said that's the model for the rest of the country. So I mean, even little Cleveland State, I mean, you never can tell. I mean, Obama might come here. I mean, what would you do? I mean, okay, so if Obama did come, if he called you, say we wrote a letter.
If Obama called me.
And he said,
what would I do?
Then he said, yeah, I would like to come down, and I would like to speak on your radio station.
Well, I'd be more than happy to have him. And I would be polite and respectful.
Really?
But I guarantee you he wouldn't like the questions I would ask.
Well, what would you ask? Let me play Obama. And since you think I'm just an Obama lover here, and you ask me some questions, and I'll see if I can politically correctly answer them or not answer them.
Okay, the very first question.
Mm-hmm.
President Obama.
Okay.
I would like to see your birth certificate.
Really? So why? Okay. Well, why do you want to see my birth certificate?
Because I don't think you're a natural-born citizen.
Natural-born citizen. Okay. So everybody you meet, do you ask to see their birth certificates?
No, but everybody I meet does not represent my country.
You don't think... What?
What?
I mean, all Americans don't represent their country?
Not on a national level, no.
Okay, so do you think my foreign policy is bad? Or do you think that...
No. Answer my question.
Well,
I want
I
to
am answering.
No, you're not. That's the problem with politicians. I want a simple freaking answer, yes or no, and politicians cannot give a simple answer.
Well, of course not. But no, it's not. You have to know why. I mean, I want to know. I mean, if I said, okay, I want to see your credit card because I don't believe you any credit, whip it out. Are you going to whip it out? No, you're not going to whip it out. You're not going to show me your credit card. If I told you I want to see your birth certificate, are you going to go pawn it up? No.
Yeah.
Why? Why should you have to?
Because I don't have nothing to fear.
You're not afraid of anything.
Yeah, I don't hide anything.
Okay. Well, some people here believe that it's not anybody else's business what other people think.
Oh, okay. Let me stop you right there. Okay, first of all.
Okay.
You work for me. I do not work for you. If you don't want to do what I require, then you need to get another job.
You think that I should just get another job?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you think that you are more capable of doing my job than I am?
No. I don't think you're capable of doing your job.
Okay. But do you think you are more capable of doing my job? That's a good question.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to tell me that I'm not good enough to do my job, then you must know more than I do to tell me that I don't know how to do my job right.
And I'll go ahead and say this, okay, to
Okay.
get it out in the air.
Okay.
Mr. Obama,
Okay.
is 90% of all government
Mm-hmm.
is I would like to see you out the door.
Okay.
It's not just you.
Well, I'm going to
I didn't like George Bush. A lot of people don't. A lot of people freak out when I say that.
Wow.
But George Bush was nothing but a lying piece of dirt.
Well, I don't know if he was lying. I think he was probably misled by the factors that.
No, he wasn't misled. He sent people after Saddam Hussein to get back to Saddam Hussein for trying to kill his daddy.
But they had weapons of mass destruction.
They didn't have shit.
You didn't see any weapons of mass
Did
destruction?
you?
Well, not exactly. But am I speaking as myself?
You're speaking of Obama.
Okay, it's Mr. Obama. Well, the idea is that if it wasn't a weapons of mass
Oh my
destruction,
God! See, this is the problem.
They were
just shut up. Okay,
they were helping.
Shut up.
No,
Listen. See, that's the problem with politicians.
Uh-huh.
You get long-winded speeches when people just want a freaking simple answer.
Well, there is no simple answer.
Yes, there is.
I mean, you want to know?
Ask me a question.
Okay, why did you start Greenville Media?
To help the community and to make money.
That's the only reason.
Yes. I mean, of course, I got to say I started my own business to make money. I mean, that's a given.
Every business is in business to make money.
But I created Greenville Media to help the community because I love my community.
You love your community.
Yes.
What's your favorite thing about your community?
The historic value. I was born and raised here, and I want people of the whole world wanting to know what we're doing in Greenville.
Okay. All right. That seems like a thing. That seems like a good idea. Well, I would like to say this, that I was born in Hawaii.
And you're a freaking liar.
Yeah, I mean, and I was born to, I think it was a military father. No, I'm just guessing here.
No, Obama's your man. You should know this.
I never said he was my man. I just said that he was a better alternative than the other one. I mean, if you look, like, I'm a big thing about foreign policy because, they keep telling you all this stuff. The world hates America.
Let's talk about foreign policy.
Yeah.
Why did you bow down to that Saudi king?
What do you mean, bow down to a Saudi king?
A couple of years ago, when you went to overseas, you bowed down.
When you go to somebody else's house, do you respect their wishes and follow their rules?
I'm the president of the United States. I'm not going to bow down to anybody.
Now, see, that is ethnocentrism. I mean, that is ethnocentrism. And for those of you who don't know what ethnocentrism is, that's actually where you think that you are better than somebody else because your beliefs are more...
No. I will shake their hands, meet them, greet them, and be nice as can be, but I'm not bowing down to anybody.
Okay.
Because we fought a war to stop from bowing down to kings and queens. We fought a war to get away from a monarchy who ruled our daily lives. I'm not bowing down to anybody.
That was like 40 years ago. You're still worried about England? They're like one of our best friends now.
Yeah.
I mean, the same party that was,
Yeah.
So, okay.
So that's the reason I will not bow down to anybody.
Okay.
And I would not... You know what? I would not bow down to Obama. I would not. My favorite president, Clinton of the last few years.
That was your favorite president, really?
Of the last few years.
Wow.
I would not bow down to Clinton. I'm respectful.
Mm-hmm.
I would be respectful. If I went overseas, I would shake the man's hand, and as I do with anybody, call him sir, answer yes sir, no sir.
Well, what about culture? And this is a big thing that people don't realize is that the culture of shaking hands, maybe that's not the culture in every, like, say I want to go to speak with some Eskimos in Alaska.
Here we go.
I'm not going to go up there and shake their hand. That's not what they do.
Here we go. We're always tiptoeing around other cultures. You know what? This is the American culture, okay? You know what? I'm an American.
Uh-huh.
You, Mr. Obama, supposedly are an American.
Yeah.
So act like an American.
I do. I do act like American. I represent this country the best way I know how, and I think the best way that I know how to do that is to let other countries know that I'm just not out there to push my politics and my beliefs on you. I want to be respectful of what you believe.
Without the United States, the world would fall apart.
I don't think so. I mean, I I can't believe that. The world was here a long time before the United States got here, and
Yes, you're correct. And as before the United States, before, there's always been one superpower to rule the world,
oh,
to keep the world in check.
it's like the Lord of the Rings thing. One ring to rule them all. In Middle Earth, and we have hobbits and other cultures, but they don't. Okay, so the whole thing is that you think that, or you believe that that our culture should be the culture of the entire world.
No, I fear the day that we turn into a one world government, a one world religion, a one world faith, a one world currency.
Okay.
A one world culture.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's great. If that's saying that, but if we don't do that, how are you going to learn to respect other cultures?
I respect cultures. I respect all cultures.
Well, what if they don't believe in shaking hands?
Well, he doesn't want to shake my hand. That's fine. I don't want to bow down to him. I'm not going to bow down to him.
Well, I think you're taking the bowing down to somebody as some kind of, as being
no.
No. It's just a simple gesture.
I know what it is. I mean,
okay.
But I'm not going to do it.
You're not going to do it?
No.
Okay.
I mean, we go to Japan. You know what? I'm not going to bow down in Japan.
Okay.
Because that's not what I do.
All right.
It's no disrespect to them.
So do you respect your elders?
Yes.
Do you respect people of authority?
Yes.
Okay. So what's the difference? I mean, you have to follow somebody's rules. I mean, at some point in time, I can't just go up to my boss, that I have one right this minute, but I mean, I couldn't just go up to my boss and and be rude to him, and.
Well, you're not listening to me. I'm respectful and polite.
Okay. Well, I think that's what he was doing. Personally.
No,
you don't think so? You think he was showing submission?
There's a difference between him and me. Okay? He is the representative of the United States of America as a whole.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. Well, I'm part of that. I'm part of the United States as a whole.
The United States as a whole, is Obama, okay?
Uh-huh.
Now, if you're a terrorist or another country, and you see, basically, we'll use this example. A pizza guy in a uniform comes to your door, knocks on the door, hands your pizza.
Huh?
You see that person as the company, right?
Well, sometimes,
yes.
I normally.
Okay.
That's normally the way they tell you, is that you're representing the company.
Well, okay, you are. So Obama himself is representing the country. Obama just basically bowed down to another country. So America just bowed down to another country.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I mean, I understand. Let's just say that we'll agree to disagree, but I don't think that's exactly what happened. I think he was being respectful of their culture, and that's important. I mean, honestly, we really don't want to make every other country angry with us because we think we're better than everybody else.
I never said we was better than anybody.
Okay. That's nationalism. I mean, I have nationalism. I'm proud of my country. I think you're proud of your country. I mean, I think a lot of people are. I think.
Now, are you going to take away the assault rifles?
Ooh, the assault rifle ban. Yeah, now see, this is one thing that I've been going back and forth on, and I've seen a lot of good quips on this the other day. That are on Facebook, where people put the e-cards up, and one of the ones that I found was that people said, do you take away cars because some people drink and drive and kill people? And the obvious is, well, you don't take away cars. Mm-hmm. You don't do that. So, should you take away rifles or automatic weapons or assault weapons or ban them because some people decide to use them to kill people? Well, see, that's where it gets me. And as much as I say that, I mean, I'm not against people taking away weapons, but I think it has to be for the right reasons. And I think, honestly, because...
Okay, first of all, you can just go ahead and shut up.
Okay.
Mr. Obama. One.
Oh, I was playing Obama.
Yeah.
My bad. I thought I was being myself.
No, you was playing Obama. One, as the old saying goes, you will pry this weapon from my cold dead hands.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you this, that, okay, and let's speak, I'm going to speak as myself now. I don't think that it's appropriate for the government to tell me that I need to give back a weapon that I purchased on my own. I don't think that's good. I think that banning assault weapons is a little bit out there. It's kind of confusing to me. I mean, I understand that there's been some bad problems. I mean, of course, we had what happened in Colorado, in Aurora with the movie theater. Then we had Sandy Hook, where the kids got killed, and we've had shootings, with assault weapons all the time. But how do you blame the weapon for that? I mean, we could have a gun fully loaded sitting on this table right now, and unless me or you pick it up, it's just going to sit there. It's not going to kill nobody. I mean, the gun doesn't have a mind of its own. The person that pulls the trigger is the problem. I think we try to shift the blame here in this country to.
Oh yeah, just like spoons made me fat.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember there was 2 young ladies that were suing McDonald's a while back because McDonald's made them fat, and I think McDonald's actually won this lawsuit. But I mean, am I supposed to blame McDonald's for selling fattening food when I'm the one who goes there and buys it?
Well, it's because this country caters to people now. It caters to a minority. And I'm not necessarily speaking of race, okay?
Yeah,
I'm speaking of the thought process of minorities.
Yeah.
Not
the minority thought, not the majority thought.
Yeah,
okay.
The minority thought is, used to it was the majority rules, and now it's the minority rules. And once again, I'm not speaking of race or religion or culture or creed or anything like that. I'm speaking of thought. And now we don't want to offend anyone, so we offend everyone.
Yeah, that's kind of backwards a little bit. I don't agree with that. I mean, I agree with that's what we've been doing. As a society, I think that we've honestly led ourselves down that path on our own. It's just like, I use this example all the time. Is people say that we're not allowed to beat our kids, or they shouldn't be smacked or butt.
I will tell you this: I got 4 belt whippings in my life. If I moved, that damn belt hit where that belt hit, okay? And it was my fault, not my dad's fault.
So, but you respect your parents. I mean, I got my butt whooped when I was a kid. I mean, I respect my parents for that. And I don't go back and say, oh, they were being cruel or nothing like that.
I got 4 belt whippings and 1 smack in the face because I called my mama the B word when I was 15.
Oh, my Lord. That's awful.
And I remember where I was standing. I remember that I can still see it in my vision today of calling her the B word and her rearing back. Me thinking in my mind, oh shit, here it comes.
And it came. And but you knew that's what was going to happen, right? See, nowadays, I mean, you know what I always say? When I was a kid, I remember I'm going to say, man, when I grow up, I'm going to let my kids stay up as late as they want to. Because that's my parents didn't let me stay up. I mean, I had a bedtime, and I had to be in the bed by that time so I can get up in the morning, because I had to get up early in the morning to go to school. And I remember saying that, and I guarantee you I wasn't the only person who said that. Well, now it seems like the going thought is, well, kids don't need a bedtime anymore, And then when kids stay up all hours of the night and they're making racket and yelling, the parents are in there going, God, why won't those kids go to sleep? Well, because you didn't discipline them. I mean, there was nothing wrong with going to bed at a decent hour when you were a child. I mean, I grew up to be a semi-normal.
You know what? Beat the living snot out of them. There's a difference between.
But you love them.
Yeah,
there's a difference between beating them and loving them, and beating them because they're beating them. I mean,
I tell my daughter who is 7, I said, you will not grow up to be a thug. If you do, you will not exist to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that plain and simple.
Well, you want them to grow up to be respectful.
Yeah.
I would like, I mean, I always learned to respect other adults, respect my teachers, respect authority. I mean, that's the way I grew up, but I see a lot of kids these days that don't respect anybody else, and it's amazing.
But
who do you blame? I mean, to me,
it's society's fault.
I don't get that.
No, I mean, that's what they're saying, or my mama didn't love me enough, or I didn't have this. You know what? At a certain point, I can agree with you if you're 12. when you're 20, you're a grown person.
Yeah.
You know the difference between right and wrong.
Whether
you was taught it or not.
Well, yeah, I think you know the right. I think you know. Honestly, I knew right and wrong when I was a little kid. I didn't need to be told what was right and wrong, because when I did something wrong, I felt wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think.
So when you get to a certain point, you know, it's all your fault. You're the idiot that done it. You know.
So you reap what you sow.
Well,
I'm a big. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Don't forget our friends at Realty Executives of East Tennessee. Give them a call today, 423-639-3465. Check out our website at www.greenville-homes.com. All right, now go ahead. What?
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of reaping what you sow, or paying for what you do. You know, I believe if I make a mistake, then should be the one to pay the consequence. You know, and I believe that. And there's a lot of people out there who don't seem to think that. You know, they think they can get away with something. Like, you know, I was at school yesterday. I think it was yesterday, and I saw somebody parked in a handicap spot who wasn't handicapped. You know, and they're going to get a $250 ticket, because that's what the price is, and that's a lot of money. And I'm sure they parked there because there wasn't any other spots. I mean, they're doing construction everywhere at UT, and there's not a lot of parking spots, and I'm sure they didn't want to be late for class. You know, so I'm sure they had good intentions, but they parked in a handicap spot, so they're going to have to pay the price. And the funny thing is, I guarantee when the guy gets back out to his car, or the girl that gets back out to his car, they're going to sit there and they're going to say, you know.
They're going to throw a fit.
Exactly. But they did it.
You ever watch, Parking Wars on Channel 32?
Oh, yeah, that's...
You know, these people, they know they did wrong. They're just trying to get out of it.
Yeah, and I think the problem with society now is that we've let them get out of it. I mean, I remember one of the posts you made on your Facebook was, something about, criminals, or what can we do, or something. It's like, well, hold people accountable. If somebody gets 90 daes in jail, then make them serve 90 days. Don't give them 10 days with probation, because we ain't got no place to put them.
What are they going to do? Go in there.
I know you have inside information on this because you worked there. So
sleep on a mat, and the mat may not be thick. Who cares?
I know.
But they're getting 3 meals a day. They're getting TV. They're staying warm. They're staying.
Well, semi-warm.
I mean, yeah. They
get a shower.
Yeah, it's warm.
They got some soap occasionally.
Yeah, and they. If I was living on the street homeless, I would throw a brick through a window.
Try to go to jail.
Yeah.
A lot of people do that. It costs a little bit of money to go through that nowadays. I think it costs some money at the jail. What is it? Is it $15 a day or $25? How much?
Nobody pays it. It's $15.
$15. Nobody pays that.
No,
well, they have to pay it, don't they?
No, they just add it to their probation, and then they get violated for their probation, and they come back
to jail. I mean, that seems like a never-ending cycle.
It is.
Okay.
Now, 60% of everybody in jail now is because of violation of probation.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So, you think that's okay? Do you think that's good?
No.
Would you rather say? I'm going to equate this to cruising, because I remember when we worked together years ago. The first time I ever went cruising was in your car, and you took me around. I had never been cruising before. I didn't know anything about it. But Lord have mercy, nowadays cruising is one of the biggest crimes on the planet. Apparently in Greenville here. You can't cruise the Commons. You can't. What is it? If you go through the Commons 3 times,
that's the problem with this town. Is there's nothing to do for the kids.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that.
I mean, there's not much to do for adults.
Yep.
I mean, and don't get me wrong. I did cruise, and now I look back and think it's idiotic, but there's got to be stuff to do.
Oh yeah,
because if kids don't have stuff to do, they're going to find stuff to do,
and most of the time, the stuff they find to do is going to be bad.
Yeah.
So who do you blame for that? I mean, do you blame society, or do you blame the family, the parents? Or do you blame what?
As in not having anything here to do?
Yeah.
It's everybody's fault.
Okay, so as a group,
it's my fault. It's your fault.
Collectively, we need to get together as a community.
Yeah.
And we need to come up with some sort of way. Now, I honestly think that cruising really didn't hurt anything. I mean, sure, it might have been annoying to some people at some point in time, but it didn't hurt anything. I mean, the car washes made a lot of money. I know everybody washes their car every day.
Yeah.
And if you look at the car washes now that used to be hot to trot, they don't seem like they're doing too hot nowadays.
Well, don't forget our friends at Lynn Pick Construction. If you're looking to build a house, remodel a house, give them a call today, 423-823-1960. Check out their website at www.pitcrew.com. It's PITTCREW. But I tell you something is, we as a community need to do better. We need to find things for people to do.
We got a skating rink.
If I want to go to the mall, we either go to Morristown or we go to Johnson City.
I don't think anybody goes to Morristown anymore.
if I want to go to a bookstore, which I have my Kindle now, so I don't go to a bookstore.
You go to Amazon online.
Yeah. But I used to go to Mr. K's in Johnson City.
Mr. K's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that one, but it's okay.
It was awesome.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking on the way over here.
If you want to get a good steak, you go to Johnson City.
Really? Where do you go, Johnson City? Where do you go?
Well, I'm just, or in Morristown.
Morristown.
Yeah, like Ruby Tuesday in Morristown or Justin's in Morristown.
Oh, I haven't heard of Justin's.
Oh my God!
Is it good?
Best steak in the world.
What kind of steak do you eat? Do you like lean steak or do you like a ribeye? Like I love a ribeye or prime rib or something like that. I like a lot of fat.
Yeah.
So, but some people don't like a lot of fat. So Justin's, huh? That's a pretty nice place.
Yeah.
Is it upscale or?
Well, it's semi
upscale, so it's affordable.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, I wanted to talk about this because I was thinking about this on the way over, and I know we only got a few minutes left, but you mentioned to me last week, and you said, if I could give you $1 trillion, how would you fix the economy? And I think that's one of the things you mentioned. And I was thinking on the way over here, the economy, there's more than one economy in the country. There's a local economy that we have here that you're trying to affect with media, and I was thinking about that on the way over here. And one of the most important or beginning aspects of an economy, especially, is building houses, affordable houses that people can afford. So I was thinking over here, I was like, why has, when I look at the economy in Greenville, I kind of think it's stalled since I came here in 92. I know there's a few companies that have expanded, but when I came here in 1992, you had Phyllis Magnavox was here. They employed a lot of people. Tuscarora. You had Herdlock was still here. I don't know if Pet Milk had just left at that time or sometime close to there. It was here. You had was the place in town that made bombs or whatever they used to make, bombshells.
I'll have to think on it.
Yeah. And you had a circuit.
Was it Del Fasco?
Something like that. There was circuit systems, the big buildings behind Miss Winters.
You had DJs who built
bug zappers. Yeah. There was lots and lots of towns. So what other thing I was thinking over here is and there was farming here too. Farming was a big aspect.
And I think John Deere just started coming in too.
Yeah, the John Deere was here when I moved here, but I don't think it was as big as it is now. So they have expanded.
Well, now we have the Walmart distribution center.
Yeah, that came in 95, 96, somewhere around there. So yeah, they hired a lot of people. There's some buildings out there. But
and we're fixing to get AP land.
A what?
AP land, ammonium nitrate.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ammonium nitrate.
Yeah, they're going.
A plant, huh?
Yeah, it's going to hire 50 people.
Wow, 50 people.
Yeah, they said no, it was 80 people, and they're going to pay them $50,000 a piece.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty good job for around here.
Yeah.
What I was thinking of is like one of the big precursors for a healthy economy is home building. They always say that precedes growing economy is the building of homes, and I don't know. We've got 2 construction companies that are advertising here, and I wonder if they could have an idea of like how many new homes are being built here in the last few years, even before the economy took the downturn. Because when I look, I see a lot of homes out there that are new from when I moved here, but they don't seem like cheap homes or inexpensive homes. So I think there's what I'm trying to say is I think that the cycle.
You're thinking there need to be more stick-built homes. What they call stick-built.
And that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that the cycle here is broken in this town. I was wondering.
Well, you know what it is, and it's all over the United States. It's a divide of the ones who have and the ones who do not.
Yeah, well, but you need to foster that. You need to help those people on the bottom some way. You know what I mean? You want them to be better off than they are. I mean, that's good for you. So why would you not want to help them? So, I mean, like you said something about what would I do? Well, if I was going, this is my economical aspect here. If I was going to help this economy here locally, I would find some cheap land somewhere that I could afford if I was a builder. And I would find somebody who could build small houses that people could afford for about the same thing that they're paying rent. So what I would do is I would do a little survey or some background work, whatever you want to call it, and I would go out and look at the average what people pay that rent houses now or rent apartments, what they pay in rent, and then I would correspond that to.
I would probably say about $500 a month.
$500 a month, okay, and then I would value that towards what kind of house I could purchase for $500 a month. And in today's market, that's you could actually get a pretty good house for $500 a month, especially with some of the new programs that the government has out there. So what I would do is, if I were a builder, I would look at that and I'd say, okay, the ultimate goal is home ownership, but the problem is if there's no homes that I can afford to own, then I'm going to be stuck renting. And when I rent something, I don't build any equity in my life. Once I give the renter $500 for that month's rent, well, I didn't get, I lived there but I didn't gain anything. There's no equity built up as there is in home ownership. So if I were a builder, I would look to see what kind of property I could build, and I would build a little small subdivision to start that catered to smaller homes, and I would get those people that are renting now and they've built up either a good credit scheme or they're able to make solid payments every month, and I would give them a house that they can afford. So they would quit renting and they would move into home ownership, and that way they would even out the playing field a little bit. And once those homes started being built, more jobs would be created, more people would move into the area, and it would go up and up and up. It'd be a big cycle. But you've got to start somewhere, and I think when I look at the area, that's one of the things I don't see.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I had $1 trillion, anybody who's 50 years or older, I would give them $1 million to retire today, and you would open up probably 5 million jobs automatically.
Well, yeah, that's one of the things that we've had a lot of negative. A lot of people are talking about increasing the retirement age, Social Security age. Every time they raise the Social Security age, or people think they need to work longer, what you're actually doing is keeping somebody who's less productive most of the time in a job that somebody who might be more productive and more able to do can do. You're keeping them out of a job. So.
But if you gave everybody $1 million and said retire today, you would have 5 million jobs open up. The economy would boom because these people would sell houses, go buy new ones,
spend money,
spend
lots of money. Yeah. What was it? I think there was some numbers come out one time about the bailout. You talked about this. Said they could have spent the money more wisely. I know you mentioned that. I think they said if they gave everybody in America who's over 18. Equal share of the.
It would have been what, like $300?
No, it's like $300,000 or something like that. If they would have gave everybody in America that was old enough a part of that $700 billion or whatever, it would have been everybody got like $300,000, and now that $300,000 I could have gone out and paid off all my debt, and of course I would have paid off my debt to the banks.
But would everybody else? Do you think
Well, that's a stickler right there. What would everybody do? Would it be, but if somebody gave me money, the first thing I want to do is pay off my debt.
Yeah.
I think that's
I'd pay off all my debt, and I'd expand my business.
You'd expand your business, and that's capital. That's building capital. You're going to take that money and you're going to make it work for you, so you're better off in the long run. I don't think a lot of people would do that, but I think if you gave people enough money, $300,000 is a lot of money. If you gave them enough money where they could pay off at least a majority of their debt, and they felt that they can still continue to do something, go on vacation or buy something that they haven't had in a while, or get a new TV. You give somebody $300,000, they're going to be able to do a lot with it, regardless of whether they go out and blow it or whether they pay off bills. So you're really going to make a difference.
Well, Jason, I want to thank you for being on the political show tonight. Apparently, we kind of stayed away from the conspiracies, but the political aspect's still a conspiracy.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I thank you for having me.
If anybody wants to advertise on Greenville Media, please feel free to call me even on the weekend at 423-588-9557. That is the business number. We will be back Monday with Pam Gosnell Girlfriends, and starting February 4th, I am doing a new show called Hour of Power. We'll be playing some classic rock, some news, sports, weather, and more. So, we are building and getting things going. Stay tuned for more. Bye, everybody.